Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to give the rest of the attendees maybe a minute or so before we kick this off, but we appreciate your time this afternoon. Okay, without further ado, we will go ahead and get this webinar started. Today, we are pleased to have Workstream, who is a member value partner of the Texas Restaurant Association, has been for a few years now, and it's been a longstanding and great relationship we've developed with them over these years. Today's topic is the secret to building loyalty among the hourly workforce, built specifically for businesses scaling on an hourly workforce. And this is an important topic in our industry. As we all know, workforce is a hot commodity and a hot topic in our world as of late. The two gentlemen that will be presenting today are with Workstream. Our first speaker is Mac Jones. He's been at Workstream for roughly 2 years and has been partnered with a plethora of associations. At Mac's spare time, he loves to golf, play ball, and occasionally read a nice book. We also have Tyler Mumford with us today. He's also been at Workstream for 2 years and has been helping the likes of the TRA, Little C's, Subway, and many more groups hire and onboard their employees better. Tyler is big into performance art and volunteers in local plays. He's also a killer violin player and had the chance to play with Yo-Yo Ma when he was a kid. Mac and Tyler, welcome today, and I will let you all take it off. And just some housekeeping notes before we get started. Actually, we will allow for Q&A. You can feel free to drop your questions in the chat. Tyler and Mac will get to them at the end of the presentation. But yeah, feel free to send us a note there, and we'll be sure we get them answered. All right, gentlemen, without further ado, I will pass it off to you all.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Ben. We really appreciate it. And yeah, Tyler and I are super excited to be able to, talk through some things about building up and scaling up the hourly workforce, and we really want to hone in on retention. We worked with the TRA for 2 years now. Ever since me and Tyler started, we've been loving the TRA because it's such a well-run association. We've been out to events, and we're hoping to go to some more events down the road and meet you guys face to face. So again, I appreciate everyone being here and this facilitation of this webinar. So the topic today is on the secret to building loyalty among the hourly workforce. And we have a great few pieces of content within this webinar that we've been able to share to multiple different groups, and they've been able to pull a lot of value out of it. So hopefully that same thing happens within the TRA.
Yeah, as Max said, I'm super excited to be with you all today. We have a lot to share. We work with a ton of people in the Texas Restaurant Association, and we're excited to continue finding new partnerships. So yeah, today's on the secret to building loyalty among the hourly workforce. So
yeah.
Max, you want to share the agenda?
I got the agenda. So we know your time is very valuable. So the quick agenda is a little intro that, Ben Carty gave the intro, so we'll breeze over that. And then we'll talk about the state of retention, which it's kind of like a snapshot of what retention looks like today. Then I'll turn the time over to Tyler. He'll talk about the 8 ways to solve retention, do a quick little competition at the end. And then in, a couple minutes, what is Workstream? And then we'll go over any questions at the very end. And then next slide, Ty.
Sorry.
Thank you. And next. Cool. So like Ben said, my name is Mac Jones, been here 2 years, and I have worked with associations my whole time here and have been able to see, the difference of associations. And I will say TRA is one of the best. And then Tyler, you could do, a little bit quick of an intro as well.
Yeah, as was mentioned earlier, my name's Tyler. I've also been here 2 years. Me and Max started on the same day here at Workstream. So been working with quite a few different brands, national brands, as well as associations like the TRA throughout my time here. So learned a lot about hiring. Really excited to share some of that here today.
Nice. Awesome. And now we're going to look into why does retention actually matter in the deskless economy? I think everyone knows that, hiring the right employees, retention is very important, but let's dive into some statistics and let's take a step outside of sort of our day-to-day and look at what is retention like right now. Well, there's some, jarring statistics here that I was surprised by when I saw it. And again, Tyler and I are working with a lot of general managers, franchisees every single day, and we're kind of in the weeds with them. So we know how much retention, hiring the right employees affects different franchisees. The cost of replacing a trained worker can be more than 200% of their pay, which is just jarring. On average, a higher retention rate can maximize a company's profits up to 4 times, and then 1/3 of employees quit their job within the first 6 months. And these may be better or worse depending on, your situation, your geographic area, things like that. But these are, averages that we've been able to compile. Turnover is extremely expensive, and you can go through each, age cohort, Gen Z, Gen Y, Gen X, and baby boomers, and it gets more and more expensive the more younger generations grow up into the workforce. So average expected turnover in the next 6 months, as you can see here, I won't, go through it, but people, when I was in, high school, college, things like that, I was working in restaurants. I worked at a Marriott hotel. I worked at different restaurants around my hometown. But kids in high school and, people going to college, they're just not doing that as much anymore. And the statistics are there to back it up. It costs $4,600 to hire one deskless employee, and the average or the annual employee turnover rate is at 150%, which is the highest it's been at in multiple decades. So imagine spending this much time hiring just for an employee to quit in a few months. The whole goal, that Tyler and I are trying to share is we want to make the lives of hiring managers and franchisees a lot easier. 80% of applicants don't show up to their interviews. So you could have great applicants on the hook, but then they just don't show up. The average time to hire within the QSR space and sort of the restaurant hospitality space is 38 days. And 10 plus hours are spent posting jobs, scheduling interviews, and working on paperwork for a hiring manager. So we want to help out with sort of the time constraints it takes hiring managers to schedule, source, screen, and interview hourly employees and just employees that they need to staff their stores. Because 10 plus hours is a lot of time per week, that is, on trying to, facilitate the hiring of employees. And at this point, there's kind of your snapshot of retention. I'll turn the time over to Tyler and he'll go walk through 8 ways to solve retention.
Yeah, so the goals, we don't want to be doomsday people on this webinar saying how bad retention is and it's not fixable. There's plenty of ways and things that we can do to hopefully bring down retention levels. You're never going to keep every employee that you hire forever, but we can increase time of an employee spent in an organization through quite a few different things. So we'll talk about some of those here today. So tip number 1 is attract employees looking for stability. So employees are no longer willing to stay in roles with no clear path for advancement. Just like everyone on this call, the employees that we're hiring here in the restaurants also want to advance in their career. They want to feel important, they want to feel valued, and they want to feel like they're advancing in what they're doing day to day. So 41% quit their previous job for lack of career development or advancement. 31% quit for lack of meaningful work. And so this might seem, very simple to most of us here on the call and very intuitive, but a lot of times restaurant owners, we don't carry that into our restaurants. It's obviously makes sense for us in our careers, but for the people that we hire, we don't always think that, hey, maybe they don't have a way to progress or move through the organization and be given more opportunities to do more. And so it's important to set up ways or avenues that they can not only get promotions, get better pay, have more responsibility, feel more important to the organization. And setting those up and making those clear to the employees can decrease retention dramatically. I've met with a few groups that have promotion paths in place very systematically, and all their employees feel loved, supported, and important in the organization. So that's very important. Tip 2, onboarding and orientation. Turnover in the first 90 days is one of the most common and challenging aspects of hourly worker retention. Create a strong foundation for your new hires worker experience by starting on the right foot. There's a few ways to do this. First one is to make new hire paperwork easy to complete before day 1 by going digital. Ideally, a process should be able to have someone interviewed, hired, and onboarded in a day, maybe two. That should be the max amount of time it takes in today's day and age with DocuSign, all the different things that are available. Workstream, this is a shameless plug, and we'll talk about this later, but we allow the applicant to do all of their onboarding through their phone. So all of their W-4s, I-9s, signatures, WOTC, work opportunity tax credit questions, whatever it may be, can be done directly on their phone. So right after the interview, they can hop in their car. They already have the links for all their tax documents, and they can fill those out before they even get home and maybe start working the next day. Would be ideal. So this is it's super important. The second, another thing that you can do is include company culture training during orientation to make workers feel bought in sooner. Assign new hires a buddy to learn from during the first few weeks. So we can add videos to onboarding processes so they can start sensing what the culture is like where they're about to work, and then the buddy system's a really good one here. So went over a lot, but those are a few of the tips. Tip 3, better benefits. There's a lot of ways to do this. It's not just more pay. We talk about hourly rates a lot in restaurants, and obviously with margins, that's kind of a hot button topic these days. But better benefits can come in a lot of different ways. Wages is one of them, but PTO, retirement plans, flexibility with scheduling, some daycare stipend, travel stipend. There's a lot of different ways that we can make an employee feel valued and feel like, hey, it's cooler to work here than it is the McDonald's down the street or the other brand down the street because I get this. And that's all we're looking for, is just one or two things to be more competitive and to keep your employees longer, because it's more expensive to replace them than keep them. So tip 4, I brushed on this briefly, but compensation. A really cool thing, Mac actually just recently led a team that brought our hourly wage index to market. So what you can do with this is actually a tool on Workstream's website. It's free. You can hop on and use this, but you're able to discover how your pay stacks up against other regions, positions, and industries. So no more guessing or just looking through a few Indeed posts to see what other people are paying their employees. You could actually see a wage index from we work with about 20,000 plus restaurant locations here at Workstream. So you can see a wage index of what people are paying, and how you stack up competitively in that sense there. Tip 5, career development. We talked about this on the first one, but candidates who prioritize skill alignment and development aren't just better employees, they're more engaged employees, which can mean they're 87% less likely to resign from their jobs. So adding new skills, adding new responsibilities to a worker is received very well. They feel important to the organization. I mean, my career is here at Workstream. I've felt like I've gotten some added responsibilities on my plate for the whole 2 years that I've worked here. Every other month, I feel like I'm getting something new to work on. Taking over the Texas Restaurant Association was one of those things. And because of that, I feel important to Workstream. So I stay here, I stay working, I feel valued, and I want to stay. And restaurant employees are the exact same. My younger brother works in restaurants. He's in college, works in restaurants, and he's stayed with the same Wendy's. He's now a assistant manager at that same Wendy's because they keep giving him new responsibilities, new skills, and he really enjoys it, and it pays his bills, and he's been there 3.5 years. So you can keep employees longer by having some good career development here. Tip 6, employee recognition. So not only advancing people in their careers, but recognizing them for what they're doing well and for new skills that they're learning here on the job. So 83.6% of employees say that recognition affects their motivation to succeed at work, and 81.9% agree it contributes to their engagement with their job. Once again, a lot of these things are super intuitive in your career day to day. Because you want to be noticed, you want to be recognized for working hard, you want to progress in your career, but oftentimes we have a disconnect for the people that we hire that they want the exact same thing. So whether it's using Slack or some sort of employee communication tool to shout out a few people each week that do a great job and a specific thing they're doing well in the restaurant. There's a lot of ways I've seen owners that I work with do this, but without fail, the ones that do this weekly usually keep employees longer. They're happier, they feel recognized, and they feel like they're appreciated at the job. So tip 7. This is a very, very underappreciated or under talked about topic is training your managers. You guys obviously train your managers to be managers, but once they become a manager, what skills are they learning day to day to improve themselves as a manager and as a leader in your store? Remember the saying, people don't quit jobs, they quit managers. Once again, this is very intuitive for our careers. You have a bad manager that you hate, you're probably not going to stay there very long. So you want your managers to be very likable, good leaders, being able to do their job well and manage their workers well. So in the deskless economy, more than anywhere else, workers are often promoted to people leadership positions without much guidance on what it means to be a good manager. They're just not quite prepared for that step. And so manager training is pretty universal, but after the manager is done with training, what are we doing to increase their abilities as a leader in their stores? And so Workstream, we take this into account. Managers is where the rubber meets the road with the Workstream interface and app. And so we do manager trainings usually every quarter or every other quarter, just to make sure new managers and people are fresh on what it takes to be successful hiring people with Workstream. And we've seen great dividends. Managers that use Workstream every day usually have a better chance to hire hourly employees more effectively. And so we buy into this big time here at Workstream. And then tip 8, keep an open door for feedback. Encouraging employee feedback can help identify issues and areas for improvement within the company. This makes your company a better place to work, and this gives an employees a voice and helps them feel connected to the company. So there's tons of different softwares out there that are good for employee feedback. You can ask them specific questions or just have them write whatever's top of mind for them. It can be anonymous. There's a lot of ways to do this. Workstream's rolling out a few things on employee retention, which includes this. So we're really excited about that here in the near future. That rounds out everything that we need to talk about the 8 steps of retention. I think now would be a good time to open for a few questions. I see there's a few here in the chat. And then after this, we can continue, show just a little piece about Workstream, how fast and intuitive it is on the hiring and side up front. But real quick, let's open these queues.
Just real quick, Ty.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's been a few questions about sharing out the deck or the presentation. We can share both of those for sure. So we'll just send them over to Ben, and then Ben and team can kind of divvy it out. Does that work for you, Ben?
Yeah, that works for us, and we'll send a recording of this webinar as well, along
Sweet.
with the PowerPoint. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that's great. So yeah, that'll be handled by Ben. Appreciate it. All right, Ty, back to you.
No, that's perfect. So that one's been answered. The first question, do you approach or manage different values for each generation when everyone is working together? Maybe it's how do you approach? This is a really good question. I've seen different restaurant leaders do this a little bit differently. A big one though is just not treating, I would say the best restaurant owners I've seen do this don't treat every employee like they're from a specific generation, more so every employee just as an individual. You see 18-year-old kids that are super mature, and you see older people that are less mature. It's more important to know the employee and know what makes them tick, and then answer to their needs that way rather than putting them into a generation. But there are certain overarching things that work for everyone these days. Speed to hire, text to apply, all that good stuff. Automation just makes everyone's job easier. So usually we don't see a huge generation disconnect with some of those things that we do. It usually works for everyone because it's just easier to schedule an interview, apply to a job, hear back from an employer, all that good stuff there. Joy asked, do you have any recommendations about how to get more candidates to show up for interviews? It's a great question. I do have quite a few. We'll cover how Workstream does it here on the next slide. Outside of some of the stuff that we're going to talk about on the next slide, a huge one is actually sending a what's the right word? A customized text message, sorry, an actual direct customized text message to each employee that schedules an interview. So Workstream's done the research. It's like an employer is 67% more likely to hire the employee if they send an actual personalized text after the interview is scheduled, if that makes sense. So through Workstream, the interview is scheduled through automation, but we coach managers to hop in there and be like, hey, for example, hey, Joy, super excited to meet you on Wednesday. Can't wait to talk. Let me know if you have any questions in the meantime. Just something that simple makes it feel a little bit more personalized and makes it feel like someone's going to be working at a place that actually cares. So that's a big one off the top of my head, but we could talk offline off this webinar about a few other things as well. And then Joy also said, any recommendations for databases of qualified applicants or candidates in Texas, Houston specifically? Joy, let me get you some information about that offline. There's some college job boards and a few different things that we've found success with outside of the big Indeed, ZipRecruiters and stuff like that. So definitely would love to talk offline about that. Perfect. So moving along, this is where we kind of shameless plug, and we've been really excited to be, great partners with the TRA. We have a lot of great partnerships with a lot of big brands that are Texas-based or national brands that are also part of the TRA here. So we want to do a little competition, just showing off Workstream here. So the first 5 people to apply to a job get a $20 gift card. So I'm going to throw a QR code to apply poster up on the screen. Scan the QR code with your camera, and it's going to be the first 5 people that actually schedule an interview time we'll reach out to after the call and make sure you get your gift card. So just want to show you the Workstream hiring process and how easy it is for a candidate to go from a job board or a QR code and schedule their interview here. Excuse me. So here's the QR code. Scan this with your phone, and we're going to have the first 5 people get a gift card. So scan it with your phone. It's going to take you to a landing page here. There's an MVP-Little Caesars position. If you click that, you click apply on the next page, you'll be able to put your name, your number, and email in to start applying for a Little Caesars job here. I'm sure you had a lot planned for today, but I don't think applying to Little Caesars was one of them. So we're excited to get you an interview slot here. So once you put your name, your number, and email, you should get a text message and an email automatically that will allow you to answer some screening questions. These screening questions, just FYI, are completely customizable. I put some really basic, easy ones in there just to show you what we're capable of. And once you finish those, you'll be sent one last text and email to be able to actually schedule an interview directly onto my calendar. I've already set my availability out, which we can do for managers in your store so that people can only schedule interviews when the manager is available here. So really easy to do. I'll give everyone a few moments to get through here. And as you're going, I know this is a very basic way to hire. Just want you to be thinking, for your stores, how we can do this a little bit differently, more customized. We'd like to be put to the test. Pretty much anything that someone wants to do on the side of hiring, we're able to customize and do here. Perfect. Should I go back one more, or do you think we're probably good? We're probably good. So I'll let everyone continue going through there. You scan the QR code, you can keep filling out and scheduling an interview. We'll get those gift cards here after the call. But to finish, what is Workstream? Like I said, shameless plug, but we work with about 20,000 restaurant locations and are starting to break into things like hotels, hospitality, few other sectors or divisions, whatever you want to call it. But it's a smarter way to hire, engage, and retain hourly workers. So through Workstream, as you can see here, here's a screenshot of the platform. You're easily able to go from scheduling an interview to doing the interview, talking back and forth with the applicant through text through the platform, and also onboard the employee completely through the mobile Workstream app or the Workstream desktop app, either way. It's super intuitive for applicants throughout the whole process. You'll notice in the hiring process, you don't have to create a login. You don't have to do anything when it comes to remembering usernames, passwords, whatever it may be. And that's going to be the same for the applicant throughout the hiring process, all the way through onboarding. So it's super streamlined, super easy to use, and it allows to accelerate your operational efficiency through texting workflow that you saw, automated screening and follow-ups as you saw there, automated scheduling, and then some mobile-based people engagement. That's where we're at currently. We're rolling out a ton of things this summer that have to do with employee retention and records. So I'd love to schedule some time off this call to talk about where we're going and what's the next steps of Workstream. But for now, these are the proven things that we are doing currently to help many different restaurants in the Texas Restaurant Association with their hiring through texting and automation. So really appreciate your time. I think that wraps up the rest of our presentation. If we have any other questions, we'd love to hear them. And then I'll let you know how you can contact me. We'll give 20 more seconds for any questions. If you're typing furiously, you can type a little bit more furiously and we'll get them in.
Well, I think someone did mention they want to see your violin skills, Tyler. So
yeah, we can talk off. I'll be at a few TRA events coming up, so feel free.
Someone get that guy a violin.
Yeah. We'll be sure there's one at the show this year. So
sounds good.
He did a Workstream talent show, and it was unreal. It was amazing. So.
Yeah, that's amazing's a little too much, but yeah, it's something. So feel free to reach out to me. It doesn't look like we have any more questions here, but feel free. How you reach us, Tyler@workstream.is. That's my personal email. Feel free to send me an email. We schedule calls all the time to dive a little bit more one-on-one into people's businesses, how we may be able to help, or maybe just talk about hiring and onboarding and some tips that we can provide there. So love to meet anyone in the Texas Restaurant Association. Feel free to reach out and we can get something on the calendar to talk more.
Tyler, Mac, thank you so much again for today. Joy did just ask, will one of you type the email in the chat? We can type that out right now for you, Joy, and then we'll also send out the recording of this webinar to all those who registered in case you did miss it today, along with this presentation. I just also want to thank Mac and Tyler for their time today. One of the main things I took out of this, if you invest in your people, they're going to invest in your restaurant. So I think that's something to take home. And one last thing to mention as well, for those who are TRA members, if you're not a member and you're still on this webinar, please look into joining us. But as a TRA member, you do receive some benefits by signing up with Workstream as well, since we are partnered with them as a member value partner. So just keep that into consideration. Again, Mac, Tyler, thank you for your time today.
Awesome.
Thanks, Ben. Appreciate it, everyone. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.